Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about whether you are experiencing burnout. So let's jump right into it. In developing this resource, one of my greatest priorities was to help people build margin through refocusing their time, their talent, and their resources based on what truly matters to them, what matters to you. Now, although I love helping people navigate through complicated and challenging aspects related to their personal finances, I also know that this resource would touch so many different aspects of life as well. So it's interesting how working on the process of researching, creating, producing, editing, and responding to this topic of margin puts a mirror continuously in my face. It ensures that I am practicing what I preach, that I am constantly refocusing on what really does matter to me. Now, if I've done this properly, this means that I then can represent accurately the steps for you to transform your personal finances. Now, this means that you would be naturally building in margin in your life, not only financially, but in forming habits, rhythms that would impact and redirect other aspects of your life as well. Now, this is what I find to be true, as although I have a rhythm of my weekly morning routine, as well as taking a full day off for the weekend or during the weekend, I still need to be sure to build margin throughout the week, to be available to others, to be able to go brainstorm or unplug otherwise. Now, creating habits and having the power of a habit influencing other habits and having that domino effect of sorts is how I've set up margin in order to help you through the process of making one decision for your personal finances and then being able to grow and apply the next step accordingly, so that over a period of time, you're taking a number of smaller steps and you're able to take a step back and realize how much progress you've made. Now, much of my journey has been the continual evaluation of where I'm at, where I want to be, and then making changes in my thought process and in my actions, my decisions, in order to align those with where I want to be, where I want to go. Now, I found though that this can be especially difficult if you feel like you're living in a haze, if you are in a fog of sorts, or if you are in a place where you really need clarity and you feel stuck. Now, this oftentimes can be defined as burnout, which is one of the most difficult aspects to identify and even recognize in yourself. Now, it's a slow fade of sorts that most don't recognize until they've experienced the impact of health or that impact on relationships or their career otherwise. So in an article by Psychology Today called The Telltale Signs of Burnout, Do You Have Them?, it was stated that you don't wake up one morning and all of a sudden have burnout. Now, its nature is much more insidious, creeping up on us over time like a slow leak, which makes it much harder to recognize. Now, I personally relate this to someone you are spending a lot of time with, who you recognize as not necessarily being the best influence, but you don't immediately take action to remove them from the sphere of your influence. And so you become who you surround yourself with, as you've heard before, and therefore gradually take on the habits, the behaviors, the perspectives of that individual. Now, taking on more and more responsibility, leading to more and more stress over time, you and I can recognize, of course, that it's not healthy, but you may not limit your involvement, delegate, or even just say no to it if you don't have an immediate negative consequence and it's not something you immediately have feedback on. Now, you may be thinking, how do I know if I'm actually burnt out? Some of this can be identified based on effects you experience physically, psychologically, and or personally that may be related to feeling burnt out. Now, what I mean by this is that the physical effects of burnout, including such forms of chronic fatigue or maybe sleep-related issues like insomnia or sleep deprivation, having chest pains or heart palpitations, an increase in headaches or the frequency that those happen, as well as the frequency of various illnesses, to just name some. Now, the psychological effects may look like becoming more forgetful, not being able to focus, and dealing with lower patience levels that could lead to anger, forms of anxiety, or even depression. Now, this can also look like losing enjoyment for things that you would normally be excited about, or being more pessimistic than you would normally be. The personal effects of this can then cause isolation from the most important people in your life, feeling detached, losing interest in your job or career choice, deprivation, indulgence or overindulgence in habits, maybe even feeling hopeless and unmotivated, therefore preventing you from taking the action in advance and growing in ways that you would normally take, that you would normally go in. Now, there are so many different effects of this, and if carried out for a prolonged period of time, can actually lead to greater health effects. Now, according to Calmer, in an article named "What Are the 5 Stages of Burnout?", there's a definition of this that I thought was helpful, and that states that burnout is the loss of meaning in one's work, coupled with mental, emotional, or physical exhaustion as the result of long-term unresolved stress. Now, it continues to show 5 stages of burnout, the first being the honeymoon phase, the second being onset of stress, the third one being chronic stress, the fourth one being burnout, and the fifth one being habitual burnout. Now, I would ask you, where are you? Are you still in the honeymoon stage of your job? Are you feeling the pressure and weight associated with certain projects you're working on? Or are you feeling the long-term effects of ongoing stress? Now, my call to action today is to take 10 minutes to sit down and have an evaluation of where you're at in life. What is causing you the most stress, and how long has it been there for? How long has it been unidentified or unresolved for? And really sitting down to reflect on that. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.